Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our very first Revolution NJ update of 2020, and the first one under our brand new name, Revolution NJ. We're delighted to have all of you here, and while the holidays have, I hope, been great for all of you, actually, we've been very busy, so we are excited to share with you some of the activities that have gone on since our last update. I am Sarah Curitan from the New Jersey Historical Commission, and I am joining my team remotely. So I will ask all of you in the office there, I think we can go ahead and proceed to the next slide. And we wanted to start, as we have been with all of these updates, by giving you the latest news that we have been able to gather from the National America 250 efforts. And as you will know from previous updates, that body, which is the National, the U.S. Semiquincentennial Commission, was working throughout 2019 on preparing a vision and goals for the national effort that culminated in a report that they compiled and that was delivered to the White House by its December 31st deadline. And my understanding from chatting with staff at America 250 yesterday is that that report is currently under review, and that they will be coordinating with the White House on the public release of that report. So we will all look for that, and we'll be sure to share with all of you through our social media and websites when that's available for you to take a look at as well. I was also assured, I'm happy to tell you, that information on New Jersey's Semiquincentennial initiative was included in the final version. As I think we've reported to you all in the past, New Jersey has been part of a fairly small group of states that's really been at the forefront of getting underway with planning for the Semiquincentennial. So I'm very delighted that some of our work was included in that national report. And now we can move on to what we've been doing here in New Jersey. And for that, I'm going to hand off the proceedings to Janice Stellinger from Crossroads in the American Revolution. So Janice, it's your turn.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. And I'm actually going to kick this over to Greer Luce, who did most of the work, along with Sue Kaufman and Madeline on our logo. So we had a logo contest, and I'm going to let Greer talk about that.
Sure. So my name is Greer Luce. I serve as Chief Communications Officer here at the New Jersey Historical Commission. I had the pleasure of working with Crossroads of the American Revolution this fall to organize a statewide logo contest to find a visual brand for New Jersey's 250th. We received over 60 submissions to the contest, which were then judged by a panel representing folks from the fields of marketing, public history, and graphic design. Our winner was announced during Patriots Week on December 28th, and that winner is Alex Flannery, who's a graphic designer based in Nutley, New Jersey. Just to provide a little bit of feedback from the judges on why this logo was chosen, we feel that the logo reflects New Jersey's role as a crossroads of the American Revolution, its pivotal role in the Revolution. And we also felt that the logo has a sleek, modern design that nods to the contemporary relevance of the American Revolution, which is really something that we're trying to connect to through the Semiquincentennial efforts. And finally, we felt on a practical level that the simple design works well in many different formats and in many different uses.
And I'll just say that we were really thrilled that Alex was with us for that announcement, along with George Washington. So if you go to the Crossroads website, you can see some photos from that as well as video. And he was also interviewed on Chasing News and did a great job talking about why he was interested in this because of his background in history. Sarah, do you want to talk about the survey?
Sure. So one of our other big initiatives that we have alluded to in past updates is to conduct a comprehensive survey of social studies instruction in New Jersey schools K-12. And we're going to spend a little bit more time during this update on that particular initiative because we have a lot to report. A lot of work has actually gone on over the fall. So I'm happy to update you all on that. Again, this effort is designed to give us a comprehensive snapshot, so a 360 view, if you will, of what's actually going on in New Jersey schools in terms of social studies instruction. And we felt that it was critically important to begin by collecting this data so that we would have a firm foundation on which to make some decisions about the kinds of initiatives that we would undertake for education in the light of this anniversary. Because whatever we do, we want it to be something that's really going to have an impact and be a real game changer in terms of enhancing social studies instruction. So the survey is going to be, as I said, administered throughout the state. It will be conducted on a building-by-building basis. So that's going to give us, we hope, a very granular view of what's really going on around the state. And we also want to make sure that you know that we're partnering with the Department of Education on this, on both the development and the implementation of the survey. So our goal is to work in close partnership with DOE so that what we learn from this process will be useful not just to our planning efforts, but also to them as they work to enhance and develop social studies instruction. We did put together a working team to assist in the development of the survey, and that included, as I mentioned, representation from the Department of Education, but also from the New Jersey Council for the Social Studies and from some working teachers and supervisors in New Jersey schools. And so this slide is going to give you just a very brief timeline of how this project is going to progress. We worked, as I mentioned, over the summer and fall developing this draft. And then that draft was actually piloted by over 20 schools in late fall of 2019. And now we're preparing to actually release the final version of the survey. Our goal is to have it out there live late January, early February of this year. And the goal there is to enable schools to complete the survey in February before all of the March standardized testing begins. So we want to make this as easy and accessible for schools to complete. However, we also realize that no doubt we're going to be needing to do follow-up with some schools. So our consultants will then be working throughout the spring to double back to schools that perhaps did not meet that initial deadline and make sure that we get as comprehensive a response to the survey as we possibly can. I will note that we happen to have selected a consultant who also did the arts education survey. There's been, I think, at least 2 iterations of that survey in the last 10, 15 years. And with that survey, they actually achieved almost 100% participation from schools. So our goal is to get that as robust a response to this social studies survey. And that I think is really important to let you know that all of the results for the survey are going to be shared publicly. So we have listed as one of our resources on the resource page at the end of this slide deck, a URL for the Arts Education Survey, and we encourage you to visit that to get a sense of the kind of information that will be available ultimately with our social studies survey. And then finally, this slide is going to give you a sense of the kinds of questions that we're going to be asking on the survey. It is a broad-ranging survey, and it includes everything from, we'll be collecting data on when social studies is taught, i.e. which grades, how many instructional hours are devoted to it, and then also we'll be gathering information on what additional resources schools are able to use, field trips, bringing programming in, access to websites and other kinds of teaching resources. So there'll be a wealth of information gathered, and again, it's going to be made available for everybody to take a look at and learn from and use to guide educational program development, not just for us at the state level, but also for all of our history organizations statewide. You'll be able to actually look at the responses from schools in your area and use that information to design your programming and outreach so we can all look toward more effective and targeted programs in the future. And with that, I think hopefully that gives you an overview of what we're up to and with the Social Studies Survey, and I will hand it back to the folks in Trenton.
Thank you. As I think probably most of you are aware, one of the main things that Crossroads and the Historical Commission have been working on is a revolutionary site assessment in the state of New Jersey. This is the first comprehensive site assessment of 140 sites statewide, and this was done through an RFP process with a team of architects and historic interpretation specialists and heritage tourism experts. And the idea is to inspect, assess, and estimate site improvement costs, and obviously look at heritage tourism and what potential there is and some opportunities that we may have been missing that we can now take advantage of. There is also going to be some recommendations about possible site or sites for a visitor center. Wanted to let you know that we are making a lot of headway with this with our team. The site visits have been completed. There is a self-assessment survey that is being emailed to site managers. That's being done by the interpretive team from Hunter Research. So if you have not received that, when you do receive it, please do try to answer the questions there. This work is one of the things, as Sarah mentioned, we were highlighted in the national report. Some of the work on the site assessment and the fact that we are doing this first ever assessment was part of what was included in the report that America 250 was completing. And this final report from our consultants will be presented on March 18th at the Crossroads annual meeting in Trenton. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And now I'm going to toss this over to Madeline Rosenberg from the Historical Commission, who will talk about long-range planning.
Thank you, Janice. So I just wanted to briefly update the group on what's going on with our long-range plan. So as you might recall, we're working with a long-range planning consultant, Allison Tremarco, to help shape the vision and goals of this initiative. As part of that process, we are conducting listening sessions with different groups across New Jersey to hear about their interests and needs in relation to this anniversary. This is an ongoing process that is going to go on for this foreseeable future. With our facilitator of the long-range plan, we're just doing 6 or 7 sessions, but we'll keep going after our contract with her has concluded. I wanted to bring your attention to 2 that we're working on scheduling right now. The first being a listening session with members of New Jersey's African American community, which will be in Ewing on the evening of February 6th. And so we're in the process of putting together that registration information, and we'll hopefully have that out soon. And we don't have a specific date yet, but we are working on putting one together with members of New Jersey's Muslim American community. Hopefully that one will also occur in February, but we're working on it. So we are going to keep putting those together. Simultaneously, we have an online survey that draws from the questions that we ask at the listening session for those who are interested in giving feedback, but not in a listening session format. And so I would be happy to share that link with anyone who wants to. It's anonymous, it's optional, and we're just interested in hearing from as many people as possible. So that's what's going on with that.
Great. And Crossroads conducts a series of professional development workshops, and we've been doing this for a number of years for historic site staff and volunteers. Our next one is January 24th. We're doing it in partnership with the New Jersey Historical Commission. Madeline Rosenberg is working very closely with our new employee, who I'll introduce shortly, Amy Osterhout. And we have, and also Morven, because we're having it at Morven, and it's funded by Investors Bank, and also through the National Park Service for our funding that we get for doing these kinds of workshops. It's a really great opportunity. We do have a few spaces left, so if you're interested in attending, please sign up. It's worth it just for the price is worth it just for the food. You're going to get some coffee and snacks and a great lunch. But it is a professional development workshop that's dealing with training on uncovering and sharing a broader perspective of experiences. And we have Elizabeth G. Allen from Morven, who's going to be speaking, Aaliyah and Brown from the University of Maryland's African American History, Cultural and Digital Humanities Initiative, Jane M. Elisoff from Montclair History Center, and R. Isabella Morales, who's a PhD, who does work with the Princeton and Slavery Project. So again, this allows you to find out information about broader stories of your site's past, and will allow you to attract a diverse visitors base. And obviously there's more information on our website if you're interested in signing up. I do want to introduce our new staff member and have her say a few words about what she's working on for Crossroads and with this. It's Amy Osterhout. She's our new program manager. She's been with us since November. And Amy has a master's from Rutgers University in American History and a bachelor's in history from Rowan. And she is our liaison to what we are going to be setting up, which is our Revolution NJ Advisory Council. Amy?
Hi, everyone. So I'm excited to be with Crossroads. I am also the program manager, so I work closely with our heritage partners throughout the state. So I'll be definitely more involved in planning future workshops and with the Revolution NJ 250. So I'm excited to hopefully start working with some of you and getting to know everyone here.
Great. Thank you. And just sort of as a closing thing, I don't know if people saw, but there was a poll that was released yesterday from the Monmouth poll that Patrick Murray, our former board chair, conducted that you might be interested in seeing. And it's about people's, excuse me, about what people think about visitation to Revolutionary War sites in New Jersey and how that sort of ranks with ideas about the importance of this topic in New Jersey as opposed to other states. And we're delighted that Patrick is doing this type of data collection. And I think the information is going to be very useful to all of us. So I think it got quite a bit of press. It was in NJ Biz, and we also have some information posted on our website with links to the Monmouth website, as Monmouth poll website, as well as NJ Biz article. Wanted to let you know that there are resources that we have here in case you're interested, and just want to know, and also our contact information. The other thing I do want to say is that Our next meeting will be an in-person meeting. You know, as you know, that we've been trying to mix this up a little bit and have some of them be go-to meetings, and we always sort of thought the winter would be a good time, especially to do that, because you never know about the weather. But our next meeting will be April 21st. It'll be we don't have the location yet, but we are working on that, so we will let you know shortly. And just wanted to know whether there were any questions, and also contact information is up there for me, for Sue Kaufman, and also for the Historical Commission for Sarah and Madeline. We also can obviously put you in touch with Greer and Amy if you have questions for them as well.
This is Madeline. If there are questions, if you don't mind typing them into the chat box on the GoToMeeting screen, just because that way we can take them one at a time. And so I will see them as they are coming in. The first one I see is a question about whether we can send a copy of the PowerPoint, and we do put them online very shortly after the meeting, so we can certainly do that. It will be on both of our websites. So yes, it will be online, available online. And I see a question that I'm going to give to you, Janice. How did the fundraiser in the fall in Princeton go?
Well, it was successful. I think everyone that was there really enjoyed it and saw, you know, had an amazing opportunity to see Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, and John Witherspoon, and also to meet Ian Kahn, who played George Washington in turn. So, yeah, so I think it was a successful event. Thank you for asking, and hope that you'll be able to attend things that we do in the future.
Great. Another question. Will the survey be shared? I'm assuming that is referring to the education survey. And Sarah, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. The survey absolutely will be shared. And you know what, since there's feedback when I seem to talk, Madeline, do you want to perhaps answer on my behalf?
There's feedback when you're talking. Is that what you said?
Yes.
We don't hear it here. I'm going to mute our microphone while you respond in case that's the problem.
Okay. Great. Perfect. Okay. So yes, absolutely. The results of the education survey are going to be shared. And on that resources page in the PowerPoint, you'll see, I think it might be the very first item, is a link to the website that has the results of the arts education survey. And I put that up there so that all of you could get a sense of the kind of information we're going to be able to share from the social studies survey. We're going to do the same thing. There will actually be a dedicated website where this information will be posted, just as there is for the arts education census information. And take a look at that. That will give you a sense of the kind of information we're going to be generating from this initiative. And it's going to be organized by school, and so that it'll be very easy, not just for us, but for anyone to go in and look and see what's going on and where the needs are in their particular district. So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm unmuting us, so I don't know if you want to mute yourself from a feedback perspective. Great. But the next question I see, when will the assessments of the sites be available?
Well, the report is going to be released on March 18th.
Okay, great. I'm scrolling down. Can I share the URL to complete the online version of the listening sessions? Yes, so this survey, just to clarify, isn't specific to any particular group. It's a general survey, and we do have that link available, and we can certainly publicize it on both of our sites, as well as when the PowerPoint is made available online. But if you would like it even sooner, you can always email me directly. I'm going to go back to the page that has my contact information on it. But yes, we can make that available to anyone who wants it. The next question I see, have any additional sites been added for Sussex County?
You know, I don't have specifics on that. Sue, do you have any specifics on that?
Sue, I'm going to unmute you. Just 1 second. All right, Sue, I don't know if you're there or can hear us.
Looks like I'm unmuted now.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
good.
We had provided some, additional ancillary sites that were provided by the counties, but I do not have any specifics on which of the sites might have gotten, a quick visit from the team. Those would have been sites that were nearby or along the way to a visit from one of the sites that was on the list of original 140.
Thank you, Sue. I see the next question. Is there any intent to share feedback from the site assessments prior to the presentation in Trenton?
I'm not sure whether there will be something prior. We're in the process of meeting both, representatives of both the Historical Commission Board and our board are having some meetings, obviously, prior to come up with the format of the reports. And that's part of what the discussion is going to be. We know there's great interest in those results. We're just trying to determine the best way to make those public. Sue, do you have anything else on that?
Actually, no, I don't have anything additional.
All right, just bear with me. I'm going to keep scrolling. Where was the fundraiser advertised? I think some people didn't get a chance to hear about it, so they're just wondering how to learn about future opportunities.
Okay. This one was a little bit different than perhaps what we would do in the future. This was done at an individual's home. And so there were a lot of her friends who were invited, people that had expressed interest in me in attending, people that our board, knew were interested in attending, and past supporters. So yes, there will be other opportunities going forward that'll be probably a wider range. And we'll make sure that our heritage partners and others are aware of what we have coming up.
Thank you. So this is a question probably for Greer. It's logo related. How soon will we be able to get the logo to start using, including downloadable versions for websites? Are we going to make lapel pins, for example? And then there's the next question is a different topic, so we'll do this one at a time.
Okay. Well, thank you for your question. So we are working with Alex Flannery, the designer of the logo, over the next, I would say, couple of months to make a couple refinements. We are going to make a few changes, very minor changes to the logo to, in terms of color and sizing and things like that. That should be finished up, we anticipate, like I said, in probably no more than 3 months or so. And then we're also working with him to make the logo in a format that's accessible for letterhead and on social media and websites and things like that. Once we get all of that from him, we will make it available. However, I will say, as we work on our long range planning and kind of making a formal announcement of our brand identity and things like that, we probably won't encourage people to use the logo until we're kind of ready for that announcement and our long range planning is complete. But Janice and Sarah and Madeline, Amy, please feel free to add if that doesn't sound in line with what your thoughts are.
No, I think that's exactly it. And, we're obviously very excited to have something that we think, deals with the past as well as the future in New Jersey. And we think that this can give us a lot of interest. And I think people will be excited to work with it. And Alex is going to be terrific to work with to make this move forward.
Great. So the next question I see is for long-range planning sessions, listening sessions, how about one for state heritage organizations like the DAR or SAR? So thank you for that question. We did hold a session earlier with members of New Jersey's sort of Revolutionary War community, at which lineage groups and heritage organizations and other such communities were invited to participate, and we are soliciting ongoing in opinions and feedback through the online survey. We may very well do other sessions that overlap with those groups in the future, but at the moment we're sort of planning 2 or 3 at a time. But that's a really helpful suggestion, and we'll certainly keep it in mind. I don't know, Janice, if you had anything else to add. All right, the next question I see is about the site survey. Will the sites have an opportunity to see I think we may have gotten this before, but see the survey assessment prior to the Trenton presentation? It would be helpful to have the scope of survey and initial findings to the sites. I believe we just addressed that one. But if there's an additional question, certainly let us know. And another question, it looks like, were all the sites that were included in the final assessment of RevWar sites, were they RevWar sites only? I understand that the 250th celebration has been broadened to include all U.S. history.
Let me, or I can maybe take a turn. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm just going to mute us because of the feedback.
Okay. Let me just dive into say, and I know Janice will want to dive in too, and that is we are blessed in New Jersey with an amazing wealth of historic sites. So for this initial project, the focus was on the Revolutionary War sites within that larger grouping because we have so many. So we did focus with this initial survey on the Rev War sites. But that doesn't mean that we won't be undertaking other kinds of initiatives for historic sites that are not Rev War sites. But for this initial capital needs assessment, we focused on the 140 plus Rev War sites that we have in the state and that have been identified. You know, there are many additional that actually weren't even included in that list because either they're in private ownership or et cetera, or their monuments or what have you, but the initial focus was on Rev War sites. Janice, do you want to add to that?
No, I think that's basically it. And you know, I think the other issue is that it doesn't mean that what we're going to be doing in planning for the next 6 years, you know, is not all from the site assessment. You know, the site assessment is giving us some needs that we can then raise funds for. And that's what, you know, that's one of the main things that Crossroads is working on, is identifying a campaign council that once these needs are identified, we can help raise some of those resources. But there are many opportunities to recognize all of the history that has taken place over the past 250 years in New Jersey.
And I have one other point that I'd love to add in here because I think it may be helpful too. And that is that we are also working, and we'll have more information at the next update session, on our efforts to develop some themes, some historical themes to be used throughout this anniversary work. We are convening a panel of scholars later this spring to work with us, and public historians as well. So our goal is to develop some really exciting and engaging and inclusive themes that we could share with all of you, so that whether you come from a Rev War site, or maybe it's a 19th century site or a 20th century site, you can develop programming that really will be part of this anniversary work. And we feel like those themes are going to be a huge tool to make that, you know, in a very positive and useful tool to make that possible. Some of you may remember the themes that we developed for New Jersey's 350th anniversary. We want to do something similar so that we can involve everybody in this work.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a great point, and I think we just want to emphasize that the site assessment is just one prong among many for this initiative. I see one more question, I believe, though others may crop up. For the overall 250th, is there a media plan? Are New Jersey newspapers, magazines, radio, TV all on board to promote New Jersey Heritage Tourism 250th? Will the New Jersey Division of Tourism be involved in 250th planning? I don't know, Sarah, if you want to take that one, Janice.
Well, let me.
Oh, go ahead,
Let me
Sarah.
start. let me just start from the perspective of the Department of State, and then I'll hand it off to Janice. And that is just, I want to remind everyone that the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism was actually named in the legislation to work with us on this effort. And they have been a very involved and supportive partner. They were intimately involved as we developed this site survey in terms of the heritage tourism component. So yes, travel and tourism is involved and is very much a good partner for us. And I look forward to that continuing in the next 5 to 6 years. Janice, do you want to address some of those other items?
Sure. I mean, there's no way to get all of New Jersey's media committed to something. I spent a lot of my career running NJN public television. You contact the media, you get them interested. Sarah and I and John Hatch, who's one of our major site assessment people, we were featured in a rather lengthy report on NJTV News about the work that we're doing, and specifically with the site assessment and the logo contest. So I got that placed. We also got a Chasing News interview, and I've been on the radio. I've been on 101.5 talking about some stuff, as well as being on WCTC radio. We're going to be doing a lot more. So yes, there's a major effort to do more media and get people interested in this topic.
Great, and I see one quick logistical question about whether we're going to be able to provide a transcript of this meeting. We're not going to produce a transcript, but we are recording it. So when we put it online, people can, skip to the question they're interested in and hear that answer. And I see an FYI from someone in the crowd saying there's an article planned for tomorrow's Asbury Park Press about New Jersey's Rev War 250th. I don't know if that's about the initiative or New Jersey's role in the Revolutionary War, but that is great to hear. Any other questions? I'm just going to give people a moment or two to type. And otherwise, we have our email addresses available, and hopefully you know how to reach all of us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that come up later. All right. I'm going to take that as there are no more questions, and thank everybody for coming. And we are going to mute ourselves and close this meeting shortly. So thank you for making the time. The next meeting is April 21st, and we'll be following up with details about timing and location. Thank you.